The U.S. presidential election takes place every 4 years on the first Tuesday in November. Candidates must be at least 35 years old, born in the United States, and lived in the U.S. for the previous 14 years to be eligible. Traditionally, candidates make their intention to run for president public in the year before the election takes place. Since there is no national authority that conducts the elections, local authorities organize the elections with the help of thousands of administrators. This time, the presidential elections hold a lot of significance due to the worst things Joe Biden did as a president in 2023, which made a lot of people disappointed as he circumvented the Supreme Court on student loan forgiveness. He made people more dependent on Russian uranium and made the childcare crisis worse. Now at this, people need to change their president, which would not be Joe Biden. This year, some people stand a chance to be the President of the United States, in which the Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, will face Republican nominee and former President Donald Trump, 2017-21, who lost his bid for re-election in 2020 to Democrat Joe Biden. In June 2024, while campaigning for his second term, Biden performed poorly in a nationally televised debate with Trump. Under intense pressure from prominent Democrats who feared he would lose the election, Biden withdrew his candidacy and endorsed Harris as his replacement. In early August, Harris was officially named the Democratic Party's presidential nominee following her victory in a virtual vote of party delegates. Donald Trump is the 45th President of the United States, 2017-21, and the Republican nominee in the U.S. presidential election of 2024. On May 30, 2024, Trump became the first former president to be convicted of a crime when a New York State jury convicted him on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in connection with a hush money payment in 2016 to the adult film star Stephanie Clifford, known as Stormy Daniels, who claimed to have had an affair with Trump in 2006. Trump's presidency may be best remembered for its cataclysmic end, but his 4 years as president also changed real American policy in lasting ways, just more quietly. Many Americans will remember President Donald Trump's presidency as a 4-year-long storm of tweets, rallies, and on-air rants that ended in a mob riot and a historic second impeachment. But there was more to the Trump presidency than attention-hogging political drama and conflict. Often unnoticed, Trump and his administration did succeed in changing some of the ways Washington works. From imposing a ban on Chinese-made drones to rolling back rules on sexual harassment, from cracking down on robocalls to letting states legalize marijuana. Best things Trump did as a president: he transformed the Middle East with the Abraham Accords. Trump brokered not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Arab-Israeli peace accords, the first agreements in more than a quarter century. He did it by rejecting the failed conventional wisdom of the foreign policy establishment, which said that there could be no separate peace without the Palestinians, that moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and confronting Iran's aggression would inflame the region and put peace out of reach. It did the opposite. The Abraham Accords are an achievement worthy of a Nobel Prize and would rank number 1 in a normal year. But 2 other Trump achievements eclipsed it. He averted a second Great Depression with the CARES Act. When the pandemic began, economists warned that the U.S. was barreling toward a second Great Depression. The CARES Act not only saved us from that harrowing fate, but also helped businesses come roaring back from the spring lockdowns, producing a record-breaking 33.1% annualized GDP growth in the third quarter. In March, the conventional wisdom was that it would take years for the economy to recover. Today, thanks to Trump's leadership, we are poised for a rapid recovery next year. He launched Operation Warp Speed, the greatest public health achievement in history. Until now, the record for the fastest vaccine development was 4 years. Operation Warp Speed did it in 9 months. Because of Operation Warp Speed, the worst of the pandemic should be over by the spring. For all his mistakes in managing the pandemic, Trump is also responsible for ending it. Individually, each of the last three items would rank among the greatest achievements of any president. Trump accomplished all three in a single year. On the other hand, we have Kamala Harris, the 49th Vice President of the United States, 2021, in the Democratic administration of President Joe Biden. She is the first woman, the first Black American, and the first Asian American to hold the post. She had previously served in the U.S. Senate, 2017-21, and as Attorney General of California, 2011-17. In July 2024, following his poor performance in a nationally televised debate with Republican candidate and former President Donald Trump, Biden abandoned his re-election bid and endorsed Harris as the Democratic Party's nominee in the presidential election of 2024. As the Democratic Party's 2024 presidential nominee, Kamala Harris has taken many tax plans from President Joe Biden's latest budget proposals and added some of her plans to the mix. But so far without a comprehensive plan, some have also re-examined her 2020 presidential platform for clues about what she would do if elected. However, on August 16th, Harris delivered a speech in North Carolina that addressed her vision for the American economy, including tax. Since then, she has continued to unveil her tax policy through a variety of statements. Refundable tax credits can be seen as a form of monetary distribution and are attractive to low and middle-income taxpayers who would reap the benefits. During her 2020 campaign period, she introduced the Lift Livable Incomes for Families Today, the Middle Class Act. This proposal suggested a refundable tax credit of $3,000 for individual filers or $6,000 for joint filers. The credit would be accessible to individuals with annual earnings below $50,000 or couples earning less than $100,000. To fund this initiative, Harris proposed implementing a new charge on major financial institutions, those with consolidated assets exceeding $50 billion, and partially rolling back the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, a tax reform from the Trump administration that had lowered tax rates across a wide spectrum of individuals and businesses. Harris's 2020 presidential campaign platform advocated for tighter price regulations on select prescription medications. From a tax perspective, she suggested imposing a 100% levy on pharmaceutical companies' profits derived from selling drugs at prices exceeding their average cost in similar high-income nations. This proposal aimed to discourage excessive pricing and potentially create a revenue stream for government initiatives in healthcare, addiction treatment, and related areas. However, it could significantly impact the financial performance of drug manufacturers. Harris also supported legislation to remove tax deductions previously available to pharmaceutical companies for consumer-directed advertising. Many of Harris's Democratic colleagues view this deduction as an unwarranted benefit for drug companies that shouldn't be financed by the same taxpayers who struggle to afford their products. As Election Day approaches, Harris's tax agenda may continue to take shape, and there could be other progressive proposals. As a senator, Ms. Harris championed several progressive policies, including paid family leave, affordable housing, and free tuition for low and middle-income families. As vice president, she has been Mr. Biden's partner in passing major economic legislation, regularly labeled Bidenomics, which included major investments in infrastructure and green energy. Ms. Harris has thus far released her economic plan, including mortgage assistance for first-time homebuyers, a tax credit for parents of newborns, and bans on price gouging at the grocery store to help target inflation. She said in her convention acceptance speech that her plans would create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to compete and a chance to succeed. The economic policy of the Donald Trump administration was characterized by individual and corporate tax cuts, attempts to repeal the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, trade protectionism, immigration restriction, deregulation focused on the energy and financial sectors, and responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. Harris has long supported women's right to an abortion. She played a key role in the Biden campaign's effort to make abortion rights central to the 2024 election, and she has long advocated for legislation that would enshrine reproductive rights nationwide. Both of them made a lot of promises to the citizens, and their policies can affect the daily lives of the citizens in many ways. Some people are thinking of Trump as their new president, while most citizens are thinking of giving Kamala Harris a chance as their new president. Well, whatever happens, we must hope for good. To stay updated and know about who is going to be the next president of America, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one.